Today is November 15th. Sure, yeah, November 15th. My calendar is here, so I look over there when I'm confirming the date. November 15th, Friday, 2024, and time is 10:30 a.m. in the morning. It's US Eastern Time. If you're watching this from other area, if it is evening or night, it's a good evening. And for anybody who might be watching it from here, good morning. So yesterday, a friend of mine and I attended Tony Robbins training. It's called Unleash the Power Within. Actually, the training is also there today, tomorrow, and Sunday. It's a 4-day training. We were doing virtual. It was good. It started kind of late, which was a little unusual. Their time was 10 o'clock in the morning, but by the time it started, it was almost like 12 lunchtime. But then in the evening, I couldn't do the whole thing because my plan was to go attend a Bible study, and I did that too. Sorry about my movement. I was just getting the chair and the table settled. Excuse me. So yeah, for me, actually, I didn't realize that I have been listening to Tony Robbins' video for years now, and I was telling my friend that a lot of this information is actually I know from YouTube, but that is like, for specific training, they put together the material in a certain order and certain things, so it still makes sense to do, especially if you're doing it in a in-person session. They said that it's like a concert. Tony Robbins sessions are like a concert, and that's what it looks like, because they had 19,000 people join from, I don't know, 100 countries, I think they mentioned, and 12,000 people were in the in person in that auditorium or something that they had, and remaining 7,000, I think, were online. To give you an idea, the Zoom room that we were in was like room 12, and in that room there were around 300 people. So imagine each room. That many, and I don't know how many Zoom room they had. It was interesting, and for me, the reason I skipped the evening part and went to the Bible study instead, for me, I figured that a lot of the information I knew, and the Bible study group is new for me. And I was thinking about this morning, it's also because, there's this thing that Jim Rohn said. I think you are the average of 5 people you spend most of your time with. And Tony Robbins changes it a little bit. He says you are like, he says it's probably a little differently, you are like the person you spend most of your time with. So his point is, like, one person you spend most of your time with, you become like that person more. And a lot of time, if you notice, that's like the spouses. If you are with your spouse for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, then you would notice that the personalities kind of gets mingled a little bit, meaning it's not that the person A and person B completely switches, but the person B tends to start adopting some of the behavior from person A, and the other person A starts to adopt the behavior from person B. It's almost like, as I'm talking about it, just thought came to my mind. It's almost like when we are growing up, how our environment, they say that it shapes us for the rest of our life. In a way, similar thing happens when we are with our spouses, because we spend that much time, other than the people or blood relationship, when we grow up, when we were a little kid, the majority of the time that we spend with is our spouses. And they would say that at workplaces we end up spending more time than at home, but in some way I think it is still the home. The reason is, at work, unless you're working in the same place for 30 years, normally you'd be spending more time with your family than your work, because you're changing your work 4 or 5 years, or how many ever um, job you change or something like that. So my perspective is like, I know the Tony Robbins thing, and I have a couple of good friends, more than a couple actually, and I'm so grateful for that. And then I have, some of you guys that you guys keep coming, and thank you so much. And you comment, you encourage me. And also like this new Bible study group that I joined a few weeks ago. They are amazing people, very nice, very inspiring, and especially for me, my family is in India, and I was talking to my mom this morning, and I was talking to my mom about this whole thing this morning, and she is so open-minded, and she's she has been Hindu all her life, and her point of view is, whatever makes me happy and gives me peace. And that may not be as surprising for many to hear, but considering my mom's life, she has always been in a small town in India, very very different kind of life that somebody would have in like big cities in India, even like Bangalore, Bombay. My place is nothing like that. So for her to be that open-minded, kind of, as I get older, it kind of makes me wonder. I don't know how she is like that, but it's a really absolutely good thing. It helps me to sometime, stay open about the things where I don't agree about with people, and kind of makes me think, like, where is that coming from? Like, why do they have that opinion, right? I mean, election is a big thing that happened in the US recently. Like, the country is almost divided, polarized, almost not thinking that, oh, okay, that person doesn't agree with me, so I don't want to talk to them, I don't want to associate with them, versus thinking like why they are thinking that way, what sort of belief or values that they have that cause them to believe that. And maybe if we try to listen more and dive deeper, we will know, right? And there will be something that may resonate with us, because we as human beings, we are all the same. We know we are all gonna die, and we all on a very high level want the same things. But anyway, not going there. But the point is, so I went to the Bible study also because to have a different perspective, right? So it's almost like the whole group, if I were to count as like, my 1 out of 5, and my friends are there, my, family. So all of that, and work, your boss or your team makes a huge difference to it. Right now I'm not working, so that part is kind of, different. But, it's so soon it'll change, hopefully, when I have a job. But so it's important to have that different perspective, so you kind of draw or pull wisdom from multiple things, so yeah, so that's what I have been trying to do. And they say that, if nothing changes, meaning in this channel, definitely I talk about, midlife as like a second chance in life, meaning a second chance for us to live a more fulfilling life. The things that we wanted to do, we wished to do, we had a dream or whatnot, until now, that we couldn't fulfill. We are not dead yet. So this is another chance, we can try to make all of this happen. So so from that point of view, doing the things that excites us, doing the thing, also like focus. And in Tony Robbins' video also yesterday, he was talking about that, and Joe Dispenza and other videos. It's all about focus. Even in religious books, they'll talk about the same thing. If we want to find what's going good in our life or what's going bad, we can always find something. Sometimes it's the intensity, sometimes the bad will be little, but we will make it big, or sometimes the good will be little, we'll make it big. But the point is, more we can keep our focus on the good and the little things we are grateful for, it's just, life becomes beautiful. And yesterday at the training, Tony talked about this. He talked about grace, and it was such a interesting way, some of the things he talked about, the books that we read. We didn't have to think about those books to be produced or be written. And he gave some examples like that, and it was like, it just blew my mind. I'm like, we never think about from that perspective. Right now, you don't have to agree with the person 100%, like the way Tony teaches or he shares all the ideas. I'd say I agree with 80 to 90%, not everything. Some of the things I actually don't. And one of the things I'd say, he talks about, he doesn't think about positive thinking. He doesn't like the concept of positive thinking. Rather, he is like, look at the things as the way they are, the realistic view. Don't look at it worse than it is. So meaning, he doesn't believe in the concept like you go to your garden and there are weeds, there's no weeds, and you think positive, do the affirmation. I actually believe in the affirmation, because many people, including Louise Hay, she's big into affirmation, and also Norman Vincent Peale has a book called The Power of Positive Thinking. So for me, that is the concept I associate with more, because I think for people like Tony, they can focus from this to this, because they're trained, they're they have something specific, doing it for so long. For people like us, even though we think that what is realistic, we're supposed to look at realistic way, it is hard to not worry about that, and we kind of end up thinking the worst, or we attach meaning to it, which is hard for us not to attach the meaning, because the way you grow up, the way we have been here until now, our life we lived. So I think that's why it goes back to what resonates with who. And now there are people who 100% agree with Tony. But for me, it's like I agree 80 to 90%. The things that I don't agree, I just put aside and just go with what I agree. And for me, that has been, I think, for a long time, that's how I do. And that's why, I follow all different kind of people. Follow meaning listen to their videos and learn. Bob Proctor, Tony Robbins, Simon Sinek, Oprah Winfrey, many other people, Dale Carnegie, Napoleon Hill. Because I think the message is all the same, more or less same or similar, but the way it is packaged, it helps to uncover different parts of our minds and our brain, because they say that all of this knowledge, if you believe in that, our subconscious or superconscious, that is connected to the universe or God, that one whole being, all of these are in us, but it's kind of uncovering and bringing it to the conscious level. So I don't know, I talk about subconscious and conscious, 5% and 95%, or one other random way I just thought about that, we have 7 layers of our skin, and in the top layer, if I think about the conscious, everything is underneath. So it's about bringing those things. When we learn more about ourselves, we bring those things to the surface level, and that can happen from different kind of learning. So I get fascinated about all of this, and as you can probably understand or hear it some from the these videos I make, because it's fascinating to me, the whole self-help. And also I talk about the self-help industry. The self-help is really the self-help, and that's why sometimes it may seem exhausting, and that's why sometimes people turn to God or some higher power because I believe in, there is something bigger than us, because when we can't find an explanation, um, we we start praying. Even the doctors who are highly trained, when the medication fails or surgery, whatnot, they talk about praying, and they do even praying. They pray for their um, uh, they pray for their patients. So I almost think, like, where, I don't know, that could be a little controversial statement, but where science ends is where God begins, because I don't know, in some way science is proving a lot of the things that, in some way, it's again, there is ways to interpret it differently, is how a lot of religious books are written, and it doesn't have to be in a specific one religion, multiple religious books, right? So I'll give an example, like mindfulness, right? How our mind works and how subconscious connects, and sometime with the placebo effect, or how without medication, just by praying, over time people can heal themselves from terminal disease and things like that, right? So there's still no proper scientific explanation how that happens, and that is why I say that where science ends is where the spirituality begins, because science is catching up what happens in the spiritual level, because what's already happening is just getting proved. That's what and there's nothing wrong in believing one way or the other, because it all comes with that breaking our limiting belief. And I myself is also working on some of that in my life, and that a lot of this limiting beliefs get created when we are growing up, and they say until we are like 7 or 8, it just forms, and that just drives the rest of our life. But there are also studies that show that 95% of our genes and the whole body we can change later, by the way we by the way we eat or carry ourselves, our thoughts and behaviors and patterns and everything. So those are absolutely fascinating things for me. So yesterday, one person in the group, she talked about, this was amazing. She said one time she did a fasting for 5 days, just water fasting. I'm like, oh my God, how did she do that? And it's almost like, how those TV shows that are there, where they don't do it on purpose not to eat, but the places they are dropped in and to survive, they don't get to eat anything for days. Sometimes for 10 days they would eat a little bit of, I don't know, bird meat or squirrel or something, or just water or little fruit, coconut or something, if they're dropped in an island. So for her to do that, like 5 days, just being at home and doing this with water, and she's like, there are also this thing that your body, the cells, they regenerate, and then all the toxicity that just, there's physical and spiritual healing that happens during that time. And spiritually, they were talking about that. So when I do half-day fasting that I have been doing, is like I feel hungry, and then I pray to God, and their concept is like, when you get into that zone, you almost don't, miss the hunger. And that's what she was saying, that that when first few days she noticed and she was hungry, like, and then after 5 days she almost felt like she could just drink water and survive. Isn't that crazy? So our minds are so powerful, and we forget that we can completely dominate our body with our mind, and our body is the subconscious, the mind is the conscious, right? So this big part, 95%, is our body, and the 5% is our consciousness, which is our mind. The subconscious also has some parts of the mind, of course, but so it goes back to the body because the habit, like if you're driving for years, you're not thinking about each and every step that you're taking to drive. You just drive. It becomes a second nature or autopilot, how you want to say it. So yeah, it's amazing. Today, anyway, I talked probably a little differently because of my yesterday's Tony training, almost more than half a day, and then the Bible study. So today I'll be leaving soon, actually going to attend the remaining part of the training today, and tomorrow I plan to attend the whole. And Sunday, I think, I don't know, I may or may not attend because I think the last day I heard is they do a lot of marketing. Now, from marketing also, you can learn a lot of things. One is, if you're doing your business, then you can learn how the marketing works. Also, we all are marketing something at our work. So if you think at work, if you do a project, you do some sort of delivery to your boss or to the business or I don't know, the other department, you are trying to sell your thing, saying in some way, shape, or form, this is better than what we did before, better than the other department has done before. So I think there's always something that can be learned from that too. But I have some classes that I signed up at the church, and the regular church is also on Sunday sermon, I think they call it. So I might attend that instead. I'm not sure. We'll see. So with that, I think I just, I did some of the, gratitude and other things that I do, intention setting and visualization. I have been doing this as part of this video, sometime off camera, on camera. Today, I think I did off camera because I had a little limited time. But I just want to finish with that to remind ourselves that how our mind is so powerful. Our mind can tell the body that focus only on the good, focus only what your mind and body feels good about. Like I'll just share this last thing where in the training yesterday they were talking about like how we don't feel good. Our body kind of goes like this. We feel it in the shoulder, we feel it in the jaws. But then when you have an open gesture, or a lot of people gave the example, they feel better when if something happened, they're stressed, then they can go for a walk, go to the gym, or whatever that is, or do breathing exercise. They're all physical changes, they're all bodily changes that makes our mind feel better. So but then to do that, we have to send the signal or the trigger from our mind that we should change our body to feel better. So we have everything in here, in our mind. If you believe in our mind is in our brain, or our mind is in our heart, wherever that is, our mind has the power to influence everything around us, because we can influence our inner world, and the outer world is just a reflection of our inner world. Okay, so I hope you have a wonderful day, and whatever makes you feel good, keep focusing on that. I will try to do that myself as well. Focus on what makes you feel good. Okay, bye.